live in a day-tight compartment. Our main business is not to see what lies dimly in the distance, but to do what is clearly at hand. Yet so many of us have the tendency to neglect the present moment, to ignore what is in front of us by living in the past or future. This is a root cause of most of our worries, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. The only possible time we can actually live in is the here and now. Trying to do otherwise is detrimental to our health and sanity. Life is a ceaseless change. The only certainty is today, and there's no point in robbing ourselves of the beauty of today by dwelling on the past or by focusing too much on a future that is shrouded in uncertainty or a future that we cannot predict. French philosopher Michel de Montaigne, beautifully, he summed up the worries of his life. He said, my life has been full of terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened. So dear friends, if you want to keep worries out of your life, you must shut the doors on the past and the future, and you must live in the present. As stated by Dale Carnegie, the best possible way to prepare for tomorrow is to concentrate with all your intelligence, all your enthusiasm on doing today's work superbly today. If you do your best today, the future will take care of itself. There's no point in worrying about the future or yearning for some magical rose garden over the horizon. There's no point in bettering the present by regretting things that happened in the past. That is over and done with. So seize the day and make the most of it. Next is, keep yourself engaged. There is one simple way to kick worry and other negative thoughts out of your mind. Get busy. When you make yourself engaged, you don't have time to worry. When asked if he was worried about his tremendous responsibilities, Winston Churchill said, "I'm too busy. I have no time for worry." So it's almost impossible for human minds, no matter how brilliant, to think of more than one thing at any given time. So when you are busy, when you immerse yourself in a particular task or activity, you don't really have time to overthink and worry. During World War II, many soldiers came back traumatized and chronically stressed. But luckily, army doctors knew that keeping them busy would have therapeutic benefits. So they prescribed what later came to be known as occupational therapy. Every hour of their day was filled with activity: hunting, fishing, gardening, sports, art and craft. To crowd out worry from their minds, they were given no time for brooding over their agonizing experiences. I'll share one more experience of this. Admiral Brett discovered the importance of keeping busy when he spent 5 months in Antarctica alone. In bitter cold and darkness, out of necessity, he developed obsessive-compulsive habit. He would endlessly fix and tinker with things around his station, because at that point of time, that was the only way to prevent his sanity. So it's good to be busy. And we all know that an empty mind is devil's workshop. George Bernard Shaw was right when he claimed that the secret of being miserable is to have the leisure to bother about whether you are happy or not. So prevent yourself from falling into that trap. Get busy and keep busy. It's one of the best and cheapest remedies for worry. Next is, cooperate with the inevitable. During the course of our lives, we are going to face many unpleasant and unwanted situations. We won't be able to change, influence, or escape. We do not have a choice. We can either accept them as inevitable and adjust ourselves to them, or we can ruin our lives with frustration, bitterness, and rebellion, and maybe end up with nervous breakdown. Circumstances alone don't make us happy or unhappy. It's the way we interpret and react to the circumstances that determines our feelings. We all have the strength to endure misfortune or tragedies and triumph over them. We may not think we do, but we are stronger than we think. All we have to do is shift our perspective, make peace with the inevitable, and reframe the obstacles as an opportunity for growth or virtue. If on the other hand, we try to fight the inevitable, we won't be able to change the unavoidable outcome. but we'll surely change ourselves, and that too not for the better. Here, I would also like to clarify, cooperating with the inevitable doesn't mean we should bow down to all the adversities that come our way. We must keep fighting as long as there's a chance to save a situation. But when common sense tells us that it is what it is, that we are up against something that cannot be undone, then in the name of our sanity, acceptance is the only possible response. When we accept the worst, we realize we have nothing else to lose, but everything to gain, and we free ourselves to act. So friends, don't try to sow sawdust. Worrying about the past is incredibly foolish. We cannot go back in time and change what happened anyway. Sure, we may do something to change or mitigate the effect of what has happened, but it's literally impossible to change an event that has already occurred. There is only one way that the past can be constructive, and that is by calmly analyzing our past mistakes, learning from them, and then forgetting them. Fred Fullershade, an editor of Philadelphia Bulletin, while speaking to college graduating class, asked the students, "How many of you have ever sawed wood?" Most of them raised their hands. Then he inquired, "How many of you have ever sawed a sawdust?" No hands went up. Of course, you can't sow sawdust, it's already sawed. And it's the same with the past. When you worry and complain about things that are over and done with, you're merely trying to sow the sawdust. You're wasting precious time and energy over nothing. Dr. Paul Brandwin, a high school teacher from New York, he poured a bottle of milk down to the sink to teach his students a valuable lesson about worrying about things that have already happened. "Do not cry over spilt milk," he said. "The milk is gone. You can see it down in the drain, and all the fussing and hair pulling in the world won't bring back a drop of it." Sure, with little thought and prevention, that milk might have been saved, but now it's too late. All we can do is write it off, forget it, and go on to the next thing.